The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
You're strutting casually down the street when a man comes up to you looking beat with telltale traces of hippie on his chin. You say howdy and he says, hi, got anything that'll make me fly? And if you do, I surely wish you'd let me in on what you're dealing, brother. In your mind you start to ponder what to turn this fella on to, and then you get a look into his eyes. You find his beard is only makeup and his line is purely fake up. Then and only then you realize that he's your friend, the neighborhood narco agent, friend, the neighborhood narco man, courtesy of your local FBI. Your friend, the neighborhood narco daddy, all-American thinking fetty, there to trip you up while you are high. You're sitting in the coffee house gloom when the waiter comes up to you with a broom, and he has to sweep the floor around your chair. When you ask him why, he says, routine, we like to keep our coffee clean, and he proceeds to tidy up with care. You light yourself a cigarette, find out soon as you got it lit that 40 newfound friends are by your side. And someone hands you a note that's pencil telling you your flight's been canceled. Just the same, you're going for a ride with your friend, the neighborhood narco agent, friend, the neighborhood narco man, courtesy of your local FBI. Your friend, the neighborhood narco daddy, all-American thinking fetty, there to trip you up while you are high. Now you duck into an alleyway thinking, hey, maybe I can cop a J and get back before the boss finds out I'm gone. Remembering the golden rule, you look both ways, make sure it's cool, and when there ain't a soul for miles around, you clutch your baggie full of weed and careful not to spill a seed, you roll a joint as big as Baltimore. And as you take that first big drag in, a helicopter drops a paddy wagon, and guess who's standing smiling by the door? It's your friend, the neighborhood narco agent, friend, the neighborhood narco man, courtesy of your local CIA. Your friend, the neighborhood college dropout, undercover cop or cop-out, keeping law and order bright and gay. Yes, you find out that the freak you trusted is the fink that got you busted. And 20 years is a long time to stay on the ground. Oh, yeah.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break. The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Welcome to the PetPain.com studios today, where we bring you the Full Melt Show in Happy Rejoice for the people with autism in the state of Michigan. That's right, I say it again. Autism approved by the panel in Michigan's the first in the country to approve autism as a medical marijuana condition. How do you like them apples? I'll tell you. It's been a long time coming. A petition under review for a couple of years now. We did an earlier program on this subject where, it's been kind of convoluted here. You've got a government that doesn't want the medical marijuana thing. They've been dragging their feet about it all this time. They still continue to this day with pending bills and also pending ballot petitions in place. They've got that pressure on their feet to do something legislatively to get this. They're still dragging their damn feet. It doesn't matter how many people you parade before them, if they're children, if they're adults, how sick they are, how twisted and convoluted their medical stories are. Conditions that no people should be allowed to persist in or exist under these conditions. And these people have been dragging their feet in the mud, just slowing this process down. No, we're not giving you any more permission under this stupid act. We don't like this. Something got done about it today. And rightfully so. Thank goodness. I mean, thank you, Michael Comorn and the petitioners that got this done. They worked tirelessly on this. Much of this is all volunteer work. People aren't getting paid for this. Not that I'm aware of. We should try and get Michael on to talk about this. I don't know if he had a chance to be down there today. I certainly did not have a chance to go to Lansing today to attend this meeting. And frankly, they make it so that, it's almost a disappointment to attend these meetings anymore because you go there with high hopes that you'll get a chance to testify and that they'll actually listen to your story, as heartbreaking as it might be. And that they'll think and they'll do something. Maybe you'll change their minds. You'll change hearts and minds with your story there at the Capitol. As you spill your guts and expose your soul. No, it doesn't work like that, does it? Hasn't worked like that for a couple of years now. And part of this business, part of this is the legislature's fault, I believe. Or at least the people that are in control. It's really not the legislature. There's this panel. Part of it's their fault. Part of it's not their fault. The part that's there, as far as this 2-year process goes, what happened was with this approving this particular condition, the medical marijuana law in Michigan says that you have to put together this panel and it must consist of these certain people. Somebody from each of these categories. And then I believe the governor appoints these positions. And it's a recommendation, is what it is what the panel's going to do. The panel's going to make a recommendation based on all the evidence it's heard. It's kind of like a work group, right? It's the same thing that a legislative work group does inside the state government. So if you're a politician trying to get a bill passed, they pass it to committee, and the committee's charged with examining this. And it depends on what kind of bill you're trying to get passed. Maybe it's a bill about gaming, or maybe it's a bill about, banking law. If it's a bill that has something to do with drugs, they're going to pass it on to the Judiciary Committee generally. And then the committee's charged with examining this, having some hearings, taking public comment from interested parties. It's all publicly posted. You're supposed to take information at these hearings and then make a recommendation based on all interested parties' input and what the law says. And then make a determination as to whether or not, in this instance, autism should be added as a condition. Now, they did this once before. They did it at the same time they heard another issue. It was post-traumatic stress disorder. And PTSD at that time got approved. Autism got denied. Now, here's the strange part of this. What happened was the panel that was put together originally by the state government, the panel that was appointed and put in place that heard those first two petitions, PTSD and autism, the panel did not represent, wasn't a legal panel by these terms. They didn't fit each of the people in each of those categories into them. So, in other words, remember I said the panel must consist of certain people from these categories. They didn't fill the panel up that way. It wasn't representative of what the law spoke it to be. So they dissolved the panel and started a new panel. And the people that were turned down the first time by the supposedly not legitimate autism hearing panel applied again. And the new panel that was put together that does represent each of those classes, the legitimate panel said, no, we've already heard this. This panel, not this panel, but the panel itself, the board that's supposed to hear, this has already been considered by the board. And even though this is a new panel, we're not going to hear your thing. We've already denied it. I mean, not us individually as a panel, but the department as a whole, the panel that anonymously has already heard this. And so Comorn and partygoers took this to parties to the case and partygoers. They took this to court. And the court reviewed all the evidence and said, no. The law says that this has to be heard. I'm issuing an order that the panel must hear this petition as it stands. So then they dragged the panel back together. The people all come back up there again. And this is what I mean by it's dismaying to go to these things. So they go back up there. They spill their hearts and souls again. They retestify all this stuff. retake public hearing on it. The same drama takes place. And then eventually, today, finally, the panel says, you know what, we're going to approve this. But it took a long time to make this happen, and a court order. Now, here's how it even got more convoluted. The judge that issued the order that says this panel must consider this, they saw the petition as it was put together, and it had all this evidence in there from all these organizations about how autism could be palliatively affected by marijuana, how it could have palliative effect, how it could treat a condition, make it better than it was before the treatment. And it's a lot of work they put together, put these references into this petition. It's a very formal petition. It must consist of certain things. This is not an easy process. They make this a difficult process intentionally. They don't want to approve any more conditions, was what it comes down to. And if they do approve a condition, it better jump all those hurdles, right? So it does in this case. But the problem, again, is that the panel, when they first considered this, had to put, today's hearing was a postponement from 2 weeks ago or a little bit better. Sometime in the middle of the month, they heard this. But one of the people who made up a member of the classes must be represented in that panel, Dave Brogan, as I understand it, who's from Cannabis Patients United. He's a member of the cannabis community, caught the fact that the petition that was before the board had omitted all of that technical data. All of the supportive data for the petition was removed when the Attorney General's office sent it back to the panel after getting ordered by a court to hear the condition as a qualifying condition. So Dave Brogan said, no, we can't consider this now. All the supportive documentation is missing. It's been omitted by the AG's office in another dastardly attempt to bury this, to directly harm these kids. There's a lot of kids. Autism isn't a condition amongst the population in general, but the ones that are specifically being looked to be addressed by this, I think in most cases happen to be kids. I mean, it's a real problem for them. And the thing is that it shouldn't grind this slowly, should it? This is a process that could have been sped up by the state. It's a process that could have been addressed much earlier. It certainly isn't something that should have had to go to court. It certainly isn't something that the AG's office, who's supposed to back up the people of this state, should be trying to block. More on marijuana news coming up on the program after the break.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it. And didn't inhale, and never tried it again.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Come on in, let's go.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you some of the stuff that happens in the studio here when you're not looking. Woo, I'll tell you.
Return to the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of
I told you I've been fostering this dog, Woody. He just got back from the veterinarian's office. The lady that came and picked him up from the vet's office had texted me at the open of the show, right before the show opened, and said, hey, I'm going to be there pretty soon. I'm like, meet me during the break. So if I'm a little winded, it's because I bolted out the studio doors, went and gathered the dog and all the stuff that came with the dog, and then an explanation about the dog's, I don't know, there's some stuff that she had to tell me. I'm like, look, can't talk about it now. Break ending, must run. Grabbed dog, crated dog, came back to studio, just in time for the music. That's just how it works. Sometimes the stuff happening in radio is just crazy. So, now that you got a peek behind the scenes, and I've had a chance to perhaps regain some breath. Dateline today, Michigan would become the first state to allow medical marijuana for children with severe autism if an official follows the recommendation of a state panel. The Michigan Medical Marijuana Panel reviewed the issue, voting 4-2 Friday to recommend autism as a condition that qualifies for marijuana. That recommendation now goes to the Department Director of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, who makes the final decision. Supporters say oil extracted from marijuana has been effective in controlling extreme physical behavior by kids with severe autism, but critics say there's still not enough research. Michigan's chief medical executive, Dr. Eden Wells, serves on the panel and voted no. Only post-traumatic stress disorder has been added since Michigan voters in 2008 approved medical marijuana for the side effects of cancer and a few other illnesses. This is reported by the Detroit Free Press this afternoon, who I alerted earlier to the passage of this recommendation. So, that's the skin of it, I guess. I mean, that's the takeaway. Hopefully, I told you, there's people dragging their feet. There's people trying to get in the way. They don't like the progress that this issue is making. They get mad if you try and push it forward. And defend these innocent people. It's life-changing, and I suppose that it's going to continue to be that for those that now have access to this drug. And, it's going to change. This isn't always going to be the same. This is today's news. Tomorrow's news may be different. I mean, don't be surprised for a moment if tomorrow you wake up. It could happen in an instant. Dateline, Chris Christie elected president. This issue's goner. I mean, for a minute, at least until Congress goes, whoa, wait a minute, Christie. Wait a minute, Dr. Bridgegate. Wait a minute there, Mr. Ho-Ho Eater. The whole nation is against you. But if he was elected president, and it's not likely in my opinion. Anything's possible though, isn't it? I mean, I'm no psychic. I can't go back to the future, figure this stuff out, and go back and change things, make predictions, tell people what's going to happen in days to come. But I can tell you that what I can tell you is a synopsis of what's going to go on. And I can give you various scenarios and you let them play out. We can ponder these things. They would change in a heartbeat. If you just took President Obama and replaced him with President Christie tomorrow, this would be a changed subject. All that foot dragging I was bitching about at the beginning of the show with Michigan and the autism panel and the courts and the AG and the good Dr. Eden saying no. Panel says 4-2 yes. People in the state of Michigan overwhelmingly, anecdotally, would say yes. In fact, the people of the state of Michigan if you poll them, would rather just do away with this medical issue altogether and let responsible adults have it in a regulated environment. And that's where I think this is going to go as an intermediate stage, at least in this state. Where something like autism and medical marijuana may go in the future is another story. You can bet that Big Pharma has always had its eye on this pie and isn't going to easily give it up. That dream isn't going to go away for Big Pharma. And, I suppose when you're, as an industry, when you control 80% of the advertising sales revenue in television evening news programs on the big networks, in a marketplace that never existed for those big pharmaceutical companies only until maybe 10, 15 years ago tops, when before that date occurred, you would not see any advertising of any sort on television or radio for drugs. I am wholeheartedly in disapproval of people being marketed to by drug companies when these are pharmaceuticals only available by prescription drug. If these are prescription drugs, the only person that's capable of assessing and determining whether or not your condition should be treated by them is a doctor. Not some advertising sales executive who wants to fatten his pocket. Under no circumstances should an individual be walking into his doctor's office and telling the doctor, "Hey, doctor, I need this drug." That is what a drug dealer does. "Hey, dealer, I need this drug." "Sure, come on right over here." That's what they'll tell you. So to me, it really bugs me that the pharmaceutical industry has lifted this self-imposed ban on advertising directly to consumers for prescription medication. It's antithetical to the process. You go to your doctor and you complain to the doctor of an issue or condition. The doctor does an examination and then determines what treatment course is appropriate, as he's been trained in these issues. He knows about the drugs available. If one of those drugs happens to be something that he should recommend to you because it's going to be helpful to your condition, that's his recommendation. It should not be yours. You shouldn't be coming into the doctor and saying, "Hey, you know what, doctor, I like boners. I think I want some boner pills. Can I get some boner pills? Give me some Viagra or some Cialis there, Mr. Doctor." That's not what that medication's for. It's for people with, if you've got a dysfunction of your erectile tissue. If you can't get an erection because your body won't do it anymore, this medication can help you. It's generally for people who have circulatory problems, heart problems. If you're a healthy 32-year-old man who just happens to like extra boners because your girlfriend giggles, that's not an appropriate recommendation. You should not be taking that medication. It's off-label. This isn't a recreational issue. This is a medical issue. In fact, it tells you right there on the side effects. If you get a boner for longer than 4 hours, you better go and get to the hospital immediately, because you're going to end up with a permanent condition that is going to interfere with your ability to have an erection ever again. Why would you take on that risk because you want, an entertaining boner? Don't you get enough of them already? So that's the thing. The people shouldn't be going to their doctors and recommending these drugs, yet the pharmaceutical companies seem to think that telling you that you need Cialis or you need Viagra or you need, any of these blood thinners, or, I see them at CNN, it's just relentless. I mean, to get everything from crappy, what are those, catheters. Hey, doctor, you can get some catheters. Let me list all the catheters types that we got. No, I shouldn't be hearing that stuff. You can't get those catheters. You shouldn't be able to order them and have your insurance company pay for them unless, in fact, a doctor has written you a prescription, right? Now, maybe the catheter thing might be an exemption. Maybe it might be an exception to the rule because it's not a medication. It is a device, and it is for a condition that you probably already have. medication in the form of pills and other, patches and stuff like this isn't something that you should be recommending to your doctor to give you. You shouldn't be put in a position to pressure your doctor to give you any kind of pharmaceutical at all. You should go and make the complaint to the doctor about what your issue is, and then he should tell you forward going what should happen from there. And so enough of the medication and the doc, because it's corrupt. It's corrupt to the extent that if you're a person that works in the medical field and you're doing, medical coding, or you work in a doctor's office, or you're a receptionist, when the drug rep comes on, right? Because he's bringing lunch for everybody. I mean, this is tantamount to a bribe. He's not bringing you lunch because he's, he is wealthy. He's wealthy, so is the pharmaceutical company. They got the money to throw around. I'm saying it's wholly inappropriate for the doctor's office to be provided lunch every Thursday when the drug rep comes in and tells you which drugs you should be pushing on your patients. And, he comes with fatter and fatter incentives and bonuses and offer. Hey, I got some samples for you here. Try these samples. I know you're out of these. I brought some more samples of these. I know people really like these things. There's nothing wrong with having the free samples for people that can't afford the medication out of their pocket right away. Doctors need that stuff. But I'm saying the price that the doctor pays to get those things sometimes, in my opinion, for looking at it from the outside in, having had experience with many of these people, that these drug reps, they all know that when the drug rep comes in, because he's usually bringing a cart full of food, or he's called some caterer in for some, there's an office lunch now going on. And he's doing it at the expense of the people buying the drugs, because the doctor is, in order to get this kind of stuff, in order to get this kind of favor and incentive from the drug companies, if this is going to continue, and the whole office loves it, right? Who doesn't like a free lunch? There is no free lunch. The guy who's paying for that free lunch is you when you go in there and the doctor recommends this drug that he didn't necessarily have to recommend to you, in my opinion. So that's what's going on. And I think that if you look at this and examine it from the outside in, you will believe with me that the drug companies need to be pinned back a little bit about this. They shouldn't be making these recommendations. This revenue stream should not exist, but you're going to get some pushback by the people who are now on that team. Do you think the network executives at TV and radio would be in agreement with the idea that you pull 80% of their ad revenue off the evening news? I mean, it's like Obamacare to a degree, isn't it? Now that Obamacare's here, and I don't care. I like Obamacare. Personally, I'm for it. But for those who are against Obamacare, and there are a number of them that don't like this at all for whatever reason, I think it's a crazy reason. If you're against Obamacare, I think you just haven't taken a good look at it. Everybody thinks that this is going to put everybody in the hole. It's just crazy. This isn't a job killing thing. But let's put that argument aside. This is, in my opinion, making healthcare access available to lots of people that drives costs down. Cost of, let's, again, I'm arguing the points. Let's put this aside. It's like Obamacare in this respect. Obamacare was voted in what? That was the first thing he did when he got into office. It's one of the first things he got accomplished. It's almost, 7 years old now, 6 years old. By the time some new president comes into office, if there's a different administration who has a different eye, this is not going to go anywhere easily, because too many people are now used to it. It's been into existence for 6 years or so. Now, maybe 8 years, close to 8 years, when a new administration could come in and address this. I think you're stupid for trying to address this. You're not going to push that rock up a hill. All of its potential energy already went down the hill. And so I think, it needs examination. People got to stop and look at this kind of stuff. A lot of other things happening in the world of cannabis today. Just to give you a reference of some of them, there was this amazing, and I'll close this segment with this idea. Drug abuse resistance education. The project is called D.A.R.E. It started in the 80s. It was only a couple of short months ago that D.A.R.E. was baited by some non-news organization who posted some ridiculous claims about cannabis and marijuana that they were completely made up by this satire site. And D.A.R.E. posts it on their page as truth, as fact. Because nobody over there is vetting this knowledge. They're just anti-everything, anti-drugs. This is all about protecting kids, right? And I'll remind you, the way that you protect kids is you regulate drugs. Kids and alcohol, kids and cigarettes, protected because it's very difficult for them to get it unless they're getting it from a family member or some adult friend. One of the older teenagers, maybe one of the seniors who turned 18 can get cigarettes now. He's getting them from them. Maybe an older brother or older sister, a parent who's like, all right, I'll give you some smokes, whatever. Oh, that's where they're getting them. They're not getting them out on the street because they can't. Because the guy, when you go, I just watched this happen yesterday today with alcohol. Some guy walked into the store in front of me. I was off on a doctor's office visit. We stopped to get some soda pop or some refreshments along the way, getting some gas, whatever. I'm in there waiting to pay, and there's a dude in front of me with a couple of tall boys. He's got a couple of really tall cans of beer. And they was the extra alcohol beer, too. It wasn't the regular beer. It was the bonus alcohol beer. And he put it on the counter there with some other stuff, and he's like, da-da-da-da-da. And the guy behind the counter's like, look, I can't sell this to you. I know you're not 21. And he's like, if you want this, you're going to have to get one of your buddies or something to buy it for you. I can't sell this to you. And he took it off to the side, and the guy paid for his chips and left. I mean, that's what happens with alcohol. It happens with cigarettes. And this is what we're trying to happen with cannabis. If you don't want your kids to have cannabis, and they shouldn't have access to it, and they've got no medical claim to it, no doctor's given them any kind of permission, there's no condition that this kid needs. If he's going to get it, he's going to have to get it from his friends. And there's plenty of friends he could probably get it from. The black market hasn't gone away. Because we haven't regulated it here. And in most places, it's not regulated. The moment you start to regulate this, is evidenced in other places. If you go to places like Colorado, you'll see that teen use has gone down. And actually, their opinion of marijuana use as an adult, as even just as a recreational thing, has gone down. Kids don't view marijuana anymore as something that is attractive. They look at it like booze. Oh, there's a drunk guy over there. Oh, there's a big stoner over there. So it's all in the way you couch these things. If you want to protect kids, regulate cannabis. If you want to help kids who have issues that need cannabis to make their lives more livable, more normal, you regulate cannabis. This is the answer. We're figuring it out as a country as we move along. We've got more news coming up on this very program, on the Full Melt program. After the commercial break, don't go away.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with max power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464. Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Alkaline water, herbal remedy, essential oil.
Sacred Elements.
Natural and organic shampoo, lotion, pain cream, bath salt.
Sacred Elements.
Beeswax candles and handmade crafts, canes and walking sticks, artwork, jewelry, and repurposed goods.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South D.A.R.E. Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Hey, you can hear the Full Melt Show Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You want to subscribe? We make it really easy for you to do.
I've been trying to do.
All you got to do is go to thefullmelt.com, click on the iTunes link, and subscribe. I was telling you about Project D.A.R.E. earlier and how they were tricked into publishing some slime, some made-up stuff from a satire site. A company actually published this, and then later, after being publicly shamed by people who knew better, took it down in embarrassment. Now, you'd think they'd learn a lesson from that, but according to the Huffington Post, they did not. Huffington Post says the controversial substance abuse prevention group D.A.R.E., Drug Abuse Resistance Education, appeared to have made a surprisingly progressive change in its ideology Monday, as you heard me report on this very program when it published a letter to the editor endorsing marijuana legalization. Turns out that was an accident. The post titled Purchasing Marijuana Puts Kids at Risk was published in the Columbus Dispatch earlier in the day. Its author, Carlos McDermott, is a former deputy sheriff who now works with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, otherwise known as LEAP, an international nonprofit devoted to opposing the war on drugs. McDermott arguing in his paper in the published letter that laws criminalizing marijuana make the substance more accessible to minors. Quoting now, I know from enforcing senseless marijuana laws that children are only being put in more danger when marijuana is kept illegal, said McDermott, who wrote in a response to a previous letter to the editor that argued legalized marijuana would harm kids. The goal of prohibiting marijuana was to eradicate its use, but in reality, the drug has become indefinitely harder for law enforcement to control, he continued in the letter. While marijuana consumption can certainly be harmful to children, McDermott wrote, quote, anyone who suggests we outlaw everything dangerous to children would also have to ban stairs, Tylenol, bleach, forks, outlet sockets, and definitely alcohol. The answer isn't prohibition and incarceration. The answer, the letter said, is regulation and education. After D.A.R.E. posted the letter, it has now since been removed. New York Magazine reported that the group's apparent reversal in ideology was a, quote, breakthrough. However, on Tuesday, the group confirmed to the Washington Post writer Christopher Ingram, whom D.A.R.E. inexplicably addressed as Scott, that the post was a mistake and we, quote, do not support legalization, end quote. And then it shows the posts on, it looks like these are emails that went back and forth. So they actually show the emails and then actually some tweets. Ron Brogan, D.A.R.E. Regional Director, confirmed to HuffPost on Friday that, quote, a service we use to put this post up in error. And it says we have not changed our stance and that we are opposed to marijuana legalization. So you would think after being embarrassed by being baited by a satire site to post something that it was just making your chops drip with drool. Oh, this is right up our alley. We got to post this immediately. And they put it on the front page and then are embarrassed by the mass social media lashback. I mean, they laughed at them. They pointed their finger at D.A.R.E. and laughed, as did this very program. But then this guy from D.A.R.E. posts an article with a sexy title. Now, that's what got him sucked in, remember? The title of the article is, quote, Purchasing Marijuana Puts Kids at Risk. Oh, they drooled again. They slapped that baby on the front page and then again are embarrassed. Thank you, D.A.R.E. In other marijuana news, NewJersey.com says in a Getting Higher poll showing more New Jersey voters favor legalizing marijuana, it doesn't matter. Your big fat governor says a big fat no. The state's first marijuana dispensary opening to a cheering crowd in Nevada. This reporting coming from the Reno Gazette-Journal 2 hours ago. The long-awaited grand opening of Nevada's very first medical marijuana dispensary is over. Oh, geez. Come on, you stupid machine. All right. It's not, I don't think it's going to let me read that article. Why would it let me read that article? So here we go. Maybe I can do it now. Oh, now it's going to let me in. Stupid machine. It happened Friday morning in Sparks, this opening of the medical marijuana dispensary. More than 36 people arrived early to wait outside, in line, behind the doors of the Silver State Relief Company, snaking their way along the building into the parking lot. They filled out forms as they waited, eager to purchase the first legal, commercially sold marijuana in the state. I'm way more emotional than I thought I would be, said Aaron Swan. Aaron's the general manager of the dispensary. Swan and his team faced many delays on the road to their grand opening, such as new testing requirements being passed at the 11th hour before their previously planned grand opening on July 13th. It seems that there may be some video, and in the interest of playing that for you, I'll see if it'll fire up. Oh, here we go.
Friday morning in the city of Sparks.
It's only 22.
Medical marijuana has been legal in Nevada for more than a decade, but access to product has been a challenge for cardholders. More than 36 people arrived early to line up, waiting patiently for the dispensary doors to open. Now, they can legally and safely buy their medicine at an authorized location. Reporting for RGJ Media, I'm Chanel Bassett.
Okay, Chanel. Thank you for that report. It's a 22-second report. I don't know how much of a report that is. It seems like the writing is longer than... Okay, we'll continue on. Though his customers are being limited to half an ounce of marijuana, which is a fifth of what they're legally allowed to have per 14-day period, Swan worries that the dispensary won't be able to maintain enough product before the next batch becomes available. We're working on getting more plants processed and tested, Swan said. The crowd in front of the dispensary was diverse in age, with the majority of the cardholders being older. If you look around, it's boomers, said Dana Metz, one of the patients waiting in line. We're not here to just get high and have a good time. We're here for the medical reasons. Linda Siebert, another patient, said that she's very excited about the dispensary opening. After she was in an accident, she said she had many medical problems and was given opiates to deal with the pain. She now wanted an alternative solution. I was appalled that legal medical marijuana was passed in the early 2000s, and it's taken this long to get a dispensary, Siebert said. I've been watching the industry with interest, and I think this would be a positive experience. When the doors of the Silver State Relief opened at 10 a.m., the crowd cheered and clapped, and the line moved forward as the first customers were helped. So that's according to RGJ.com, who has a lovely 22-second reporter. Thank you for that report. It's interesting to see. Look, you see when this happens, the overwhelming joy. I mean, this is like a theme park opening for some people, because it opens the door to some relief. They can actually enjoy life again instead of being remanded to this eternal pain or some other problem that prevents them from enjoying life in a normal way. I can speak to this from experience. So when you get in a situation where medical marijuana is the only thing left as an option for you, and it is a viable option because you've checked it out. I mean, you've tested it. You've not either gotten some on the street or you found another medical patient that let you check it out for yourself after somebody suggested that perhaps this might work for you. However you came across it, if you've had a chance to check it out and you realize that this is the only answer that's available to you, and in most of these cases it is, these people wouldn't be, parading around in front of legislators to get high. In fact, they can't without the help of assistance of other people. Nobody wants to be made the poster child of some subject. Nobody wants to be ridiculed and open their entire medical file for scrutiny. I mean, it's embarrassing. You're already different than other people. You've got some awful condition that's probably disabled you, and here it's going to be open for public speculation. Somebody might ask you embarrassing questions. This is on public record. It's on video. It's on audio. You're in front of a group of people with ties and shirts. There's some uncomfortable coughs and grunts going on. Well, Mr. So-and-so, can you tell us about your condition? Well, you got to swallow hard when you're speaking in front of a group of people just talking about how your sister was an ass at your last wedding reception. Or how, you got to make a speech in front of your class over some issue that, it's hard enough to talk in front of a group of people as it is about anything in general, let alone speculate on your own malady. And so I'm just trying to paint you a picture that this is not something that people want, that are going to gravitate to do. People are doing this because it's the only choice they have left in most cases. With the pain people, and I would say, based on the evidence before me that I've seen, that I've had a chance to review in the past 6 years alone, that many of the people in medical marijuana conditions are pain people because it's the most common form of need. It's the broadest form of medical need that can be treated with marijuana. And I think a lot of the reason that people gravitate toward now, because there are answers to pain through other medications, but at the great expense of huge side effects. Most of them, the awful, turbulent condition of addiction. Some people, marijuana's addictive, Steve. Don't tell me that line of crap. Don't feed me the bullshit. Marijuana's addictive. No, it's not. Marijuana doesn't leave you tied up in a bundle for 7 days wishing you were dead because you can't sleep, you can't walk, you can't think. All that you can focus on is the fact that you're in so much pain that you want to throw up, that you've got uncontrollable diarrhea. This is going on persistently for 7 days. You can't sleep it off. It's not going away until you find some more drugs, some more pain medication, because the condition that you're existing in isn't caused by the original treatment. The thing that you went to go get the pain pills for isn't no longer your chief concern every day. It's feeding that pit of addiction. Because if it was just the pain, you could get through it. You've done it before. The awful side effect of most pain medications is this awful world of addiction that ultimately leads, because none of this pain subject was meant to be treated with the opiates long term. You're supposed to find other ways to get rid of pain or to manage pain, as it were. Some people haven't been able to do that and end up persistently addicted to opiates and end up as heroin addicts as a result.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pets.
Mary Jean said if you smoke marijuana, you could finish 4 years of college in 1 week.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
What's happening, fool? I done been through a whole lot. Tried tribulation, but I know God. The devil wanna put me in a bow tie. Pray that the holy water don't go dry. Yeah.
So Congress is now in a summer fling with marijuana, according to Politico. It's not easy being the DEA these days. In an unprecedented losing streak on Capitol Hill, the once untouchable Drug Enforcement Administration suffered last week what might be considered the ultimate indignity. A Senate panel for the first time voting in favor of legal recreational marijuana. That's right, I'll say it again. A Senate panel last week voting for legal recreational marijuana. Just last Thursday, the Appropriations Committee voted 16-4 on an amendment to allow marijuana businesses in whole access to the federal banking services available through the Fed. A landmark shift that will be helping states like Colorado, where pot is legal, fully integrate marijuana into their economies. As significant as the vote was, it's only the latest vote in a remarkable run of success marijuana advocates have had this year on Capitol Hill. The amendment was a necessary response to an absurd regulatory morass. Montana Senator Steve Daines, one of the 3 Republicans to support Thursday's amendment, tells Politico, referring to the multifaceted and complex system of laws that have been enacted over the past 4 decades to prosecute a war on marijuana. It's a war that began on or about May 26 of 1971 when President Richard Nixon told his chief of staff, Bob Haldeman, I want a goddamn strong statement on marijuana. I mean one on marijuana that just tears the ass out of them. That was my Nixon impression. My other one is, I'm not a crook. I think the second one's actually better. What do you anyway? So, but that war appears to be widening down, potentially quickly. The summer of 2015 could be viewed historically as the tipping point against Nixon's war on pot, the time when the DEA, the federal drug-fighting agency created by Nixon in 1973, found itself in unfamiliar territory as a target of congressional scrutiny, budget cuts, and scorn. In a conference call this week, the new acting DEA administrator repeatedly downplayed marijuana enforcement efforts, saying that while he's not exactly telling agents not to pursue marijuana cases, it's generally not something that anyone focuses on these days. Typically, quote unquote, it's heroin, opioids, meth, and cocaine in roughly that order. And marijuana tends to come in at the back of the pack. What a difference a year makes. Once upon a time, in fact, just last year, then DEA Administrator Michelle Leonhardt could dismiss President Barack Obama's views on marijuana in public and get away with it because she had friends in Congress. After Obama said he believed marijuana was less dangerous than alcohol, Leonhardt lambasted her boss soft on drugs and criticized the White House staff for playing in a softball league that included advocates from a drug reform group. Then she tried to Bigfoot Senator Mitch McConnell over his farm hemp provision. She slow-walked Senator Chuck Grassley for 3 years over his questions about the DEA's improper detention of a San Diego college student, and she was downright dismissive of an inspector general report that showed her agents had sex with prostitutes in Colombia who were paid for by the drug cartels the agents were supposed to be fighting. One by one, Leonhardt eliminated all of her friends in Congress, even as national attitudes about marijuana were shifting under DEA's feet. The day after Leinhardt's appearance before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, when she admitted she didn't know if the prostitutes used by the DEA agents were underage, Chairman Jason Chaffez and Ranking Member Elijah Cummings issued a joint statement expressing no confidence in Leinhardt's leadership. The next day, Leinhardt retiring, a move Chaffez and Cummings deemed appropriate. That was in April. In May, the Senate made history by voting in favor of the first pro-marijuana measure ever offered in that chamber to allow the Veterans Administration to recommend medical marijuana to veterans. Then When June rolled around, it was time for the House to pass its appropriations bill for commerce, justice, and science, otherwise known as the CJS bill. That's when things got interesting. The DEA got its budget cut by $23 million, had its marijuana eradication unit's budget slashed in half, and its bulk data collections program shut down. Ouch. In short, April was a bad month for the DEA. May was historically bad, but June was arguably the DEA's worst month since Colorado went legal 18 months ago. A turn of events that was easy to miss, with the news crammed with the tragic shootings, the Confederate flags, Obamacare, gay marriage, the papal issues, and the Grecian Euro drama. July hasn't been any different, with the legalization movement only gaining steam in both chambers of Congress. The string of setbacks, cups, and handcuffs for the DEA potentially signals a new era for the once untouchable law enforcement agency, a sign that the national reconsideration of drug policy might engulf and fundamentally alter the DEA's mission. The DEA is no longer sacrosanct, Republican Steve Cohen tells Politico. The national tide is clearly not in the DEA's favor. Since Colorado legalized recreational marijuana in January of 2014, 3 additional states have followed suit with full legal weed. The District of Columbia fight to legalize continues. The number of medical marijuana states has grown to 23. 14 states now legalizing non-psychoactive CBD oil, and 13 states have legalized industrial hemp, spurring a rapidly expanding legal market for a plant long demonized by the DEA. At the same time, a national debate about the high costs of sending millions of people, many of them young black and Hispanic men, to prison for nonviolent marijuana offenses has led to increasing questions about whether the zero-tolerance enforcement favored by the DEA is the right way to proceed. That marijuana reform is moving along in Congress at all is a sign of just how far and how fast the landscape has shifted. Much of the recent uptick of reform voices are actually coming from Republicans, long tough-on-crime legislators who were stalwart opponents of marijuana. In a sign of just how far the sands have shifted, Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican candidate for president, tells Politico that he believes, quote, medical marijuana holds promise, end quote. It's no longer political suicide to be seen on Capitol Hill as backing drug reform. There's clearly momentum, absolutely, says Representative Ted Lieu of California, a former Air Force JAG officer who replaced Henry Waxman as the congressman from Beverly Hills. It's the first time we've ever been able to show momentum in Congress, Dan Riffle of the Marijuana Policy Project tells Politico. The looming cuts has the Justice Department issuing dire warnings. Quote, if enacted, the House budget would cause DEA to experience a significant shortfall in their fiscal year 2016 budget that would severely inhibit their ability to carry out their mission of stopping the manufacture and distribution of illicit drugs, says Patrick Rosenberg, a spokesman for the Department of Justice. Rodenbush is his name, not Rosenberg, Rodenbush. But unlike such dire warnings in the past, when Congress could be assured of protecting funding for law enforcement agencies, seen for decades as a key to winning the war on drugs, the shine has now clearly come off DEA, and that means the agency's problems might be just beginning. Before last year, marijuana reform had never made it very far in Washington. For decades, in fact, it appeared that the DEA had no better friend in Congress, a body blindingly believing everything. DEA told about the dangers of the weed. In 1998, the first time Congress voted on medical marijuana, it was an anti-medical marijuana House resolution co-sponsored by 9 Republicans, including Rob Portman and Dennis Hastert, which passed 311 to 94. The first pro-marijuana resolution to get a vote was in 2003, a measure that prevents the federal government from interfering with state legal medical marijuana programs. In 2014, after 8 tries, that measure, known as the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, finally passed by a vote of 219 to 189 as an amendment to a larger appropriations bill. Today, though, nearly all of the momentum now appears to be on the side of legalization. On June 3rd of 2015, Rohrabacher-Farr was renewed with a vote of 242 to 186. That's a significant uptick, says Riffle. This, as reported by Politico.com. I did not believe that I could get that entire article in because it was a lengthy article. But I suppose as you can surprise oneself. One can surprise oneself. I am distracted by dog this evening. Got a patient that just came to the studio during the last break, taking Woody the dog on a walk. And I'm looking forward to getting Woody to a new home. I'm only fostering this dog. He is a pit bull. I rescued him off the streets in New York. Hope to see him doing well soon. Boy, I'll tell you what, he went to the vet today. He got neutered, so he's deballed now. He's got his shots. He's got, what I mean by shots is rabies, distemper, heartworm, all that stuff. He got some flea treatment. He's got a new collar, some wet food. He's got a brand new halt. Oh, you call that a harness and a walking leash. That and other stuff. More next week on the show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.